I've had one of those strange days today where you kind of shift between different roles and responsibilities. So at some point during the day, I was kind of feeding back on poems and looking through Arts Council applications and all that kind of stuff. But for a large portion of it, I spent my time looking after my mother, who's 76 years old and has just gone through a hip replacement operation. So I was primary care and kind of feeding her grapes and all that kind of stuff. And as such, I think it's kind of appropriate to read one of her poems. I've written a couple of poems with her in mind. And this is a poem from Breaking Silence that's entitled Speechless. This is the first part of Speechless. And yeah, it's really about her experience. At 15, she has a voice like ripe Jamun wine, and her name is on everyone's lips. 1950. Uruguay beats Brazil 2-1 to win the World Cup. China invades Tibet. Truth or Consequences debuts on American television, and her father forbids her from playing guitar. Hoists her up on a wall between pictures of Ella Fitzgerald, King George, and a picture proclaiming that Britain needs you. It will hang there. Souvenir of the freedom she enjoyed since she was 9 and spent 3 months learning to play My Home is Heaven, Just Waiting for Me. 3 simple gospel chords in secret taught by a Sunday school teacher before unveiling her voice one evening in front of the family. Her father stayed silent then, but he's a police sergeant on the Demerara's West Bank with a sharp black serge uniform and standards to match, and I'd like to know how the cogs and wheels turn in his head, how the decision is made, whether he weighs her tears and pleas against the notion that a father knows best, that his word is law, that a proper young Guyanese woman belongs to the home behind curtains, not music. I'd like to know if it's just that easy. Easy as lifting a gramophone's needle from a groove, closing a door, or blowing out a candle. He forbids her from playing guitar, forbids her from singing, orders her to fold her voice down into a small, pocketable silence. Hangs that guitar from a nail on a wall like a trophy or stuffed animal, something he's hunted and killed. Weeks will pass before whatever's left inside her rises, claws its way out, before she stands on a chair, unhooks that guitar from its resting place, brings it down with an overhead swing that cracks the frame again and again until it's broken wood, tangled nylon, a few snagged keys. The girl will be my mother. When she tells me the story, it's just a guitar. You don't have to make it sound so bad, she'll say. He loved us in his own stiff way. All right, so I think it was Laura that said earlier on, in the same way, I do a lot of teaching and stuff, and yeah, I do a lot of work in education, and yeah, it's an honor and it's a joy, and it's actually really humbling to go into those kinds of environments and be challenged by those young minds, and to have the opportunity to take people from that kind of point where sometimes you go in and you're introduced as the poetry guy, right? Boys and girls is the poetry guy, and you see all the faces going, right? To take them from that kind of point to a point where they're actually like, yeah, poetry, yeah, that's all right, it can work. Yeah. Right? To get them that far even is a joy and a blessing, and it is a really humbling experience. So invariably, there are poems that are written about these experiences, and this is mine. This poem's called Dumb. And that's not necessarily a reflection on the abilities of the students that I work with, I'm just saying. There's a girl in class who refuses to speak. Behind her back, a teacher mouths problems at home. And who knows what large or brutal vision stalled the engine of her voice. Today in class, the challenge is to write about the things that we believe. Now the windows look out on open school grounds, and already before I've begun to speak or even know their names, they're out there. Out on the pitch or up in the clouds, anywhere but here. Their teachers have said that this is a valuable opportunity to learn. But ask the boy with his head down on a desk as if its surface is a requisite for breathing. Or the three girls squealing something I don't understand, and the rest of them proclaiming boredom, a preference for the rock club project up the hall, hangman, anything other than this, anything other than poetry, because poetry means writing, and writing's long, man. So say the ones that can be bothered to speak. We're the dumb kids, sir, says one. Why did they give you to us? Now, before the end of this lesson, the girl that lacks patience to raise her hand before speaking will come to describe herself as a jukebox. A broken jukebox in the corner of a room that no one listens to. Faulty, inside out, and forgotten in the widening fissure between her parents. The boy with a desk for a face, he'll come to describe depression in a black and beautiful light. Detailing a warm, dark pool that whispers your name. I'll scribe for a boy who will refuse to write. Ask him questions and take his answers down. Bangladesh, red Honda generator, how there's nothing like family. Nothing like home. Even in stifling heat when the aircon kicks out. I'll read back his words. To see the clean, unarguable flame behind his eyes. How he's never heard himself sound like this before and never thought it would sound so good. And still that girl in class, she refuses to speak. Praise her fierce and stubborn silence. Somewhere else in the world, rain will fall on dry land for the first time in months. And I want to know what her first words will be.